What is going on, folks? It is Steiner with another episode of Secondhand Talent. Thank you, as always, to Mark Spusta for the art, to Luke Chu and Tenacious Toys for the desk candy, and to Tiny Steiner for being my tiny co-host. And we have with us, for the second time around, the man behind Whippersnap Music and Arts Festival, held annually at Florida Sands Music Ranch in Brooksville, Florida, Mr. Shane LaVigne. Shane, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure having you back on. I am very much looking forward to discussing the festival coming up in February, folks, just a couple of months from the time of the airing of this episode, maybe almost exactly 2 months from now. It will be happening. It'll be happening. Shane, I got to ask, coming back to the show, now that you kind of have an idea of what Secondhand Talent is, we had you on in season 3. Kind of curious, now that some time has passed for both of us, what does Secondhand Talent mean to you today?
I mean, I kind of, again, after talking to you last time and going through all this stuff, I mean, I think it's cool. It's kind of like, for me, it kind of just puts a focus on the stuff happening behind the scenes, all the people that are necessary to make the things happen, all of the, all of the crew, the sound guys, the lighting guys, there's a whole lot of moving parts all over the place. And it's, I think a lot of people don't get as much credit as they probably should,
Yeah, and one of the main goals of the show always has been to highlight not just, I want to hone in on one specific point of what you mentioned, the volume of people in this space that are doing this. And I think that's something that a lot of people often overlook, because a lot of people, even people who go to live music events regularly, it's hyper local or maximum regional. Very few people, I would say, on a consistent basis do annual cross-country touring. I'd say that's dwindled, especially over the last few years. And it's incredibly important to be able to market to those hyper-local people and to those hyper-regional people to get them to come out and be a part of something. And I think that's some of what the magic of what you've created with Whippersnap is bringing in acts from all over and thereby drawing an audience from all over. And the music is as eclectic as is the makeup of the audience, which is something pretty unique.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, obviously with our particular lineup, we definitely have bands coming in from all over the place. We've had bands come from far away as England, and then we have national touring headliners. Like this year, we have Carl Dentz's Tiny Universe, we have Spafford, we have Thumpasaurus coming out from California. So I'm excited about all this. But it's with what we're doing. One of my things that makes me most happy about how we're rolling with this event is how much love we're giving towards Florida bands. Like, if you really look at our lineup, I mean, yeah, we have some national touring acts that are quality. I'm really loving that they're coming. I also love the fact that I'm in a state that not only has this much talent to offer, but that we can tap into as much of this as we can. And, it's really like, I mean, while we want people to come from, I especially want, obviously hometown being in Illinois, it's where Whippersnap started. We want people to come out, and it's perfect time of year. It's February where it's cold most of the rest of the country. But at the same time, we're hyper focused on advertising and just pulling the St. Petersburg and the Tampa crowd, because we're the event is, I'm not going to try and take away from it, but it's not huge. It's like we're at a 2,500 person cap venue, and it's like to focus locally is massive for us. And I'm just so happy that we have the support of so many good moving parts. There's a group, I'm going to give them a shout out. The drinking team with the music problem is like the greatest thing freaking ever out here. It's like Danny Pollock, you're the man. These guys are so supportive. They show up. I play in a local band out here, and the amount of people that just pop in for every show, it's just wild. I mean, we have an entire, the park has multiple RV sections. And these guys take an entire section before the festival tickets even go on sale. And now they've already branched in, and now they're taking a decent portion of a second section already. So, it's just great to have that level of local support.
Oh, absolutely. And again, never to understate the importance of having the support of that base, especially when I believe this is your third straight year going into being at the Florida Sands Music Ranch.
Is that a wonderful thing? Yes, yes. This is our third year in a row at the same park. Obviously, this festival happened in Illinois for 3 years in a row. Back in 2011, 12, and 13. The difference is it was at a different park each year, and that's why it really just didn't continue happening because it's just too much work trying to reinvent the wheel. And it's like now, I mean, I'm sitting here, and I mean, I'm currently just under 3 months out from the festival. Have all of pretty much the amount of stuff that I have done that is time consuming is kind of mind blowing. And it's like, yeah, I'm on top of it, but there's a lot of it just comes down to it's just rinse and repeat. I'm going to copy and I'm going to redo this one, and I'm using the same template. And it's just so nice to be able to just continually come back to a park knowing what you thought worked well, knowing what you want to build off of, and just continually just settle in and call this place home. It's pretty cool.
And shout out to the venue because as I understand it, it's a family owned property, and it's not something that is like tied to any massive major corporation. It is hyper local, unless your face looks like you're going to correct
Well,
me.
I mean, it is owned by the Will McLean Foundation. Will McLean was a Florida folk musician. I mean, there's a ton of events that go off at this park, and it's a lot, very much. I mean, we're kind of an anomaly at the park. I mean, for the most part, it's very bluegrass events a lot, but yeah, it's run by the Will McLean Foundation. There's a board. I mean, I mean, it used to be a different park. They it took over like 4 or 5 years ago, but it was called Sartoma Youth Ranch. But regardless, this particular venue itself has been hosting music festivals like this for the last 50 years. So, I mean, they have it together. It's ran by professionals. They don't make stupid decisions that are going to put their ability to host these events in jeopardy. All huge pluses for someone like me that's going to come in and invest money and time into trying to build an event at their park because I know it's stable, and I know that next year they're going to be there doing the same thing, and we're going to be back.
Which makes all the more reason getting back to it, to being invested into it hyper locally, because that's where the people are coming from. Talk about a little bit some of the liberties it gives you, kind of, arranging the different aspects of the festival going into the same venue. Like, what are you able to do now in your third consecutive year going into the same venue that you were not able to do in the first year? Because one of the things that I was getting to earlier about what you said is that the goal of the show is to highlight not just the people we interview, but all of the people in the spaces that they occupy, because there are so many of them. And talk about some of the areas in which you're experiencing this level of reliability with the venue and with the event, to where that frees you up to working on other aspects or elements of it.
Regarding the venue in particular, my contacts, like Jeff is like the manager over there. He's handles all my stuff. I mean, the guy is just lights up. I mean, and then Jason and Tammy, they take care of the park, and again, they're just like, it's getting to the point where I view these people as like family. It's awesome, where we have close relationships. We talk all the time. We definitely like work together. I mean, I can call these guys up and be like, "Hey, I had this crazy idea. What do you think?" And it's like, unless it's just totally like no way. I mean, they're working with me so much to make things happen. Like I mean, coming into a third year, right? In my contract, and in my contract every year, it's been that there's no keg beer of any kind allowed at this park, right? And that's been a thing. But I've been talking to them over the last couple of years, and then there's a local microbrewery in Dunedin called Dunedin Brewery, and Mike Bryant is, he's been a huge proponent of the jam band scene in Florida for years, and I really wanted to work with them, And he reached out to me this year, was like, "Is this a year we're going to try and get something going?" And the park, again, I reached out to my contact at the park. I reached out to Jeff, and I was like, "Is this something we can make happen?" And We did. And so now this year, Dunedin's Brewery is the sponsor of the festival. All of our artist hospitality is all covered, and they're bringing out the beer truck and selling their microbrews at the fest. They're brewing a special beer called the Whippersnap. It's a 4% light citrus IPA that's like low calories.
Hell
Like
yes.
it's awesome. I mean, so like these types of things, it's like when you start to establish relationships with the people, and they know who you are, then they're willing to like work with you to make things happen that are going to make it, life better for everybody, I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
So those types of lateral steps into creativity are absolutely one of the things that I had in mind that I was hoping you would speak on. And I think, kind of just digging one layer underneath that, it's having, and correct me if I'm wrong again, it's having that level of stability and trust in the folks who you've been working with to be able to focus more energy on branching out into those partnerships or into something like having keg beer at a festival. It's that reliability in and trust in the folks who you've been working with year in and year out for the last 3 years, that allows you to focus more on those things,
oh
which
yeah,
probably in year one was
that
super extra.
particular thing.
Yeah.
We're the first event since they took over at this venue 4 years ago that's been allowed to do this. So yeah, it's definitely it's a building block. You get in, you work with people, you show them that you're professional, that you're gonna bring a well organized machine to their park, and they're like, yeah, let's work with them and make other things happen.
Well, I
So
think that it also absolutely finger on the point. I would also argue though that, again, speaking to your point about being hyper focused on the Tampa St. Pete area, choosing to bring in a local microbrewery
yeah.
probably is what I would surmise made a big sway in the decision making, because you're a trusted asset at this point as far as Whippersnap at the venue, and you're not trying to bring in someone from out of state. Not to say that there aren't a lot of breweries all around the country, but the fact that you're bringing in someone who's like within the radius of the people who live and work at the venue, that's got to be a massive edge.
Yeah, and he's had a history at the park. So it was just kind of, it's a win on all accounts. Like, I mean, honestly, like I said, he's been such a proponent of the jam scene out here, for, since I guess more than a decade. And having him involved is again, it's just another positive. I mean, and that's the thing. It's like every year that this goes on, we're building more and more relationships with people that give us strength and credibility in the area. And then as you keep doing an event, we keep throwing this event, and it keeps, it's people know what to expect, right? They come out, it's well run, it's well produced. All the bands are fantastic. I get that's one of my favorites is the compliments from the bands itself, or on the bands itself. Like I have people come up like, there's a bunch of bands I didn't even know on this bill, and like there was literally no one who played that wasn't amazing. And that's always kind of been one of my favorite things about music. Like growing up I've been playing music in bands for over 30 years. And, I've been fortunate, and I played with some people who I just think are absolutely incredible musicians. And over the years, I have found that realistically, you just go out and see your local music, because there are so many fucking incredible, talented people out there that you're just never going to hear if you don't get out and see local music. I mean, so it's just like the getting on the radio is kind of like winning the lottery, like getting that sort of a play, and I mean, it's the level of talent that is out there worldwide, everywhere, that you'll never actually even hear of, is kind of mind blowing in general. I mean, I know so many incredible musicians who I think are so much more talented than just about anybody you're going to hear on the radio right now. And that's just the way it is, that's why I'm like, I love to be able to put all of these incredible Florida bands on this bill along, and they get to play alongside some of these incredible people. Like, I mean, Carl D, I'm really psyched about that one because I've been watching him play for, more than 25 years. And on top of the fact that he's just an amazing musician and brings the funk, he's also the sax player for the Rolling Stones, which is pretty awesome.
I mean, it's really a massive get, which leads me kind of to my next question, which is how do you go about, getting acts like Carl Denson's Tiny Universe and Thumpasaurus, and in the past you mentioned the UK. I know one of your major guests has been New Master Sounds, who I've had the pleasure of seeing a handful of times. They're incredible. How do you
Eddie's coming back this year.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
playing with the Lucky Star Band, is that
The
it?
Lucky Strokes.
The Lucky
Yeah. The Lucky
Strokes.
Strokes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's I am very, very much looking forward to that. I mean, it's been over a decade since I've seen that band play, and I mean, how do you go about, for the non-regional acts? Like these are fairly big names, Spafford, Thumpasaurus, and Carl Denson are not, that's not light, for as far as the headliners go.
Yeah.
So how is that just
I mean,
going for it or
no, like, I mean, yeah, but it's kind of like you have to. I mean, okay, like for example, I mean, I've already got a list of potential bands that I will be looking at for 2027. And then we're gonna kind of narrow it down. Like, all right, these are the bands I really think I want, and that's how I'm gonna get started. And like for me, this is a long process. I mean, I started sending out offers to I started sending out offers to bands in like March, and middle end of March. And some of them, like, okay, so booking these bands is interesting because, like, one thing I can say as a promoter is, like, I feel like the worst mistake you can make if you're trying to throw a music festival is reaching out to a booking agent, asking them how much they're going to quote a band at. Because I feel like in my eyes, the second I do that, I'm now going to be so far apart from you with your answer that we're not even going to get to an agreement, and
you're going to
I'm
get
not
an
going to book that
immediate
thing.
ceiling is what
Yeah,
you're going to get with that
right. They're going to
question.
give you the highest point because you're dumb enough to ask, pretty much is what it
Yeah,
comes down to,
exactly.
So all you can really do is decide what you're willing to pay a particular band, put together an offer and send it off. You got to make sure you put expiration dates on it, so you can kind of drive the bus. I mean, but the thing about the expiration dates too is that, like, you have to remember that you're the one who put the expiration date on it. You're the only one who can actually enforce that expiration date, So, I mean, there's times I put out like offers for bands where they sit, and I'm pretty sure Spafford, I think that one took like maybe a month longer than I gave for the expiration date, but I had a real good idea it was going to happen. So I was like, let's write it out because I love this band and I wanted to play at this festival.
Well, I was about to ask. First of all, Spafford is a friend of the show. Their merch guy and driver Garrett. Garrett was on in the same season as you or the season after. It all gets muddied up in my head at this point. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing all those guys again. And I was gonna ask, you being in control of that deadline, do you? I mean, and you already kind of answered my question. Is do you then give some leeway when it's a band that you really want to be able to say like, yeah, that expiration date is really just a date that we wrote on a page. Don't.
I mean, it's a kind of a combo because, it's like, do you really want this, Ben? But also, do you actually think this is going to happen? Because what I don't want is to sit and just sit in limbo for months when I could be, starting up fruitful conversations with other agents about other bands that would work out well at the festival. So it really kind of comes down to what you're comfortable with. Are you comfortable with waiting? How's the vibe you're getting from the agent? Do you think this is actually this is actually a thing that's gonna go through? And if you're cool and you think that you're gonna be able to close it out and work with them, and you feel like giving them the time, then do it. And I guess I had like one that I really wanted a band I really, really wanted for this year, and it was just, again, it didn't. It kind of came down to timing, and I was like, I'm gonna have to move along, but and then you asked like, I want to backtrack, so like Thumpasaurus, right? I mean, so Thumpasaurus. I'm so excited about bringing this particular band to Florida in general. This will be their first appearance in Florida ever. And the closest they've come was in Jam Cruise in 2020. But other than that, they have not played a show on Florida soil. And I mean, I ended up randomly coming across them was a few years back. I was just kind of I try to take time to dig in and who's out there, what bands are out there, and I did pretty much search for like best touring funk bands. And I came across this Reddit thread, and in this Reddit thread, I came across a woman who said she was just recently at this festival, and she went to see Galactic, and she said this band Thumpasaurus just stole the show, and I'm like, well, who's this band Thumpasaurus? And I pulled them up, and I was like, holy crap! I
Stole
mean,
the
because
show
they're
over
fun.
Galactic is a
Yeah,
pretty,
and
yeah.
I mean, it's what's cool is like you start to like, I mean, when I put it out there, when we announced them, there's obviously a bunch of people, they've never played here. So there's a bunch of people who don't know who they are. But then when the people who do are all like, oh my God, yes, I can't freaking believe you got them. And like, I mean, for me, I've kind of like, I think you and I have discussed this before, but with the festival being Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we actually do the pre-party on Wednesday. I feel like if you're gonna be at that festival, odds are you're gonna be there on Friday, and like, so I kind of look at Friday as like my, other than the single day pass on Saturday, but like I kind of feel like Friday is a captive audience, and which makes it easier for me to like, I'm not worried about the band that's gonna close out are they gonna be a huge draw for me? I mean, I think we've discussed this as well. My motto on a festival of this size is like, I'm not looking at the bands to be the ones who draw. I'm looking at the event we built to be the draw itself. Um, but for a band like Thumpasaurus, they're gonna close out Friday night and they're gonna blow the freaking roof off the place. And I'm expecting Saturday during the day to have a whole slew of people coming up to me and going, "Oh my God, that band," because they're that good. And it's gonna be a dance party. I mean, they're bringing a dance party to this place, and I'm stoked for it. Yeah.
Fuck yeah. I mean, or funk. Yeah. I mean, it's so cool I mean, it really is such a get. And it's one of those acts that, you know, that's a resume, pin, that's one that you're like, I mean, as is Spafford, as is Carlton. I mean, there are no slouches in this lineup, folks. It is a stacked festival, taking place February 18th to 21st at Florida Sands Music Ranch in Brooksville,
Another one
Florida.
another national touring act that have on this bill, that, they're coming off just an absolute monster of a set at Halloween. It was like the timing, I don't think could have worked out more perfect for us to book them. And we announced them right after, at Hula, but have Disco?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to having those dudes out too. They're crushing right now. They're a great band. I have a feeling they're going to put on a hell of a set out there. And then like in the national realm, let's see what else we have. Flow Tribe out of New
I
Orleans.
absolutely do. Yep.
They're fun.
I spent a lot of time looking over the lineup, and also
Oh,
in,
cool.
in the national, Joe Marcinek, friend of the show. His second episode came out a couple of weeks ago, and he and I have been talking. I don't know if you knew this, but he and I have been talking about this for months now. We've been talking about Whippersnap. Like, we're so
Nice.
like, he and I, because we're both here in the Midwest, and he's been on the show a couple of times as well. We're both just so excited to see how this turns out, and that brings me to my next point. Another friend of ours is going to be at the festival in the capacity of artist at large, and I'm actually hoping to have him on the show next season to discuss what an artist at large is like. But the only Alex Steele is going to be at the festival, and I know he and Joe are going to be artists at large. And I wanted to ask you, where did the inspiration for having roving artists or artists at large come from? And why are they so
I mean, that's
essential to the
definitely not an
fabric?
original idea from my end,
Oh,
you know?
certainly, but
I mean,
as far as incorporating it into this iteration of Whippersnap, what's the importance for you?
I just think it's amazing when you watch, like, okay, like, I don't know if you've pulled up, have you watched a Java Florida band is just fire? Have you watched their video that they put out from Whippersnap last year? Because I mean, Alex sat in with them and they did Little L by
Like
Jamiroquai.
Miracle?
And those type of moments happening are why we want artists at large, because that's sick. It was awesome. It was so cool to watch. And then like we also have Kanika Moore coming back as an artist at large. And like, I mean, she sat in with my band last year and we did Groove is in the Heart into Like a Prayer, which was really freaking fun.
Nice.
And then we finished up our stuff, packed up our gear, and went over to watch Guavatron, another Florida band playing after us. And Kanika sat in with them and just, dude, she smoked Pat Benatar's Heartbreaker. It was
Oh,
like everyone was just like, oh my God, what is happening right now? Yeah, it's really cool. And then we have the Sousa horn section. So we have an entire horn section that floats around as artists at large for the weekend. So I mean, we have sax, trumpet, and trombone players just ready to rock with anybody that needs it. It's the artist at large stuff it's a really cool thing, and it makes it for like you have some just unique sit-ins. You get all sorts of really cool stuff. Like I mean, Joe has sat in with my band a couple times. We're actually doing January 10th at Bayboro Brewing in St. Petersburg. My band is playing with Joe Marcinek band as a Whippersnap pre-party. He's got Jason Hahn and Dalvon Lamar out. It's gonna be a really fun night. Anytime we get
nice.
to jam with Joe is cool. He's good. He's a good dude.
I may be doing a little collab with him myself. We'll see as time plays out.
Right on.
Um,
But yeah, you should definitely have Alex on the show. I mean, I've I don't know. I'm crossing my fingers. I'm hoping that like maybe next year I might be able to get uh I've been really bugging Alex every year. I'm like, hey, what are the odds that we could get Ross or McCabe together to play? So, you know,
oh, I'll pitch and I'll start a GoFundMe for that. I would.
I love that band.
Oh, you
So
speak
I
my
mean, I
language
can.
now,
They're
buddy.
just another band where I could throw on their Spotify station and just I don't skip anything. I just
Yeah,
let it
no,
roll.
not. I just did that the other the other
Yeah.
day after he and
Yeah.
I talked. And so, yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, God, what a treat that would be.
Right? Yeah. I mean, there's stranger things have happened, so we'll see what we can come up with. But yeah, Alex, just honestly, he's such a cool dude. He's such a cool person. Like, I mean, I hadn't seen the guy in years until he came out for the festival last year, and it was like it was like no time had passed. It was like, "What's up, brother?" And we just had such a good time. And I mean, I obviously he had fun because he's coming back.
And that's exactly how it felt when I
Yeah.
talked with him the other day at the time of this taping. He and I got on the phone and, I still had his number somehow. And I gave it, I was like, oh, I hope he hasn't changed his number. And I called him and he's like, hey, who's this? I'm like, it's Steiner. He was like, what? And we got to catch up and chat. No, it was really a great human being. And like, definitely like one of those musicians like Joe, like Kanika, who's just so malleable in what they can do and what they bring to the table. And it is just just a genuinely cool thing, I think, and a good tradition to keep alive.
Well, and that's another thing is like I'm sure you remember this, but both of these guys had past performances at the Illinois Whippersnap festivals. Their legacy acts out here, and bringing them out is really cool.
Tradition on multiple fronts.
Yeah. I mean, Alex and Roster McCabe, like Whippersnap year one, they closed out the barn, like they just raged until like 4 o'clock in the morning out there, and that was incredible. Yeah. Joe was playing with Fresh Hops.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yep. I seen it. I seen it. I seen it. It was but it's also, I think, really speaks to the testament of the evolution of the festival, knowing what it was. And I'm incredibly excited to see what it is
you're
now.
gonna love it. You're gonna love this park, dude. Like that's the thing. Like fell in love with this venue. I mean, I got on the grounds and I just could not freaking believe what I was seeing. The way it's set up, the infrastructure that they have to offer. It's like a promoter's dream come true, man. And the fact that it's 30 minutes from my house makes it so much easier. It's like I can get obsessive with it, which I have. I mean, I've been at that park so many times. I just pop out there and walk around. I'm like, I mean, it's you're just constantly coming up with what if we did this here? What if we did this here? What if we
Well,
did this here?
I was gonna say, even, as an independent festival producer, like you kind of have to get obsessed with it. Because if you don't get, it's kind of like with secondhand talent. I have to be obsessed with it because if I'm not obsessed with it, who is going to be? And if you're not going to be obsessed with the festival, who is going to be? So I can totally relate to that. I mean, and it's just making sure that you're finding that balance and not obsessing to a fault. But
Hmm.
that presence, that physical presence of being able to be in that proximity to the space, I mean, well, that's got to give you I mean, that's got to put you at ease to know that like you could go visit the venue and go check things out and actually scale things out in real.
Oh, it's exactly. I mean, like I got an idea I'm working on right now because we've done we got that VIP RV option, right? It's a pretty cool option. We supply the RV. You just show up, you're set. And then on top of having like some perks with merch packages and stuff like that you get an on-site liaison that's really just taking care of you, making sure you're comfortable all
Check
weekend.
check the links in the site to make sure if there's any packs still available, folks.
Yeah. But then on top of that, we have, that same person that is looking out for you all weekend when you buy that package, they're also running to the store for you once a day. And if you can you put in an order to the Publix or the Walmart that's 30 minutes away, and they drive to the store for you and bring it back. So you want beer or whatever, like they'll just go pick it up and they'll bring it right back to your RV site. You're set. But like we've already last year, we introduced this and it was okay. It went well. But this year we've already sold double what we did last year. And I mean, I'm looking at the stuff, but I think at max, we're really going to sell two more and we're just going to be out because we want to make sure that the RVs we can provide are of quality. But yeah, it's been cool. And so like what we're thinking about doing now, because like last year we sold out the entire RVs, every RV site at the venue, we sold out like a month before the festival. And this year I don't have any reason to think it won't be the same way. And then so an idea I pitched to the park was kind of building a VIP RV section where I was responsible for powering it, and I'd have to, I know how to do it. I actually have a call with my rep from the rental company from the Sun Belt to go over like power needs and stuff because you want to make sure if you do something like this, you want to make sure that there's no snafus, everything's
You got to
covered.
over prepare for something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But again, it's once again like back to like the cool things. Like I come up with these crazy ass ideas and I pitch the park on them, and they're like, "Yeah, you can do that." And I'm like, "Okay," So I mean, it allows me to create a bunch more RV sites, and then I can now, again, I don't have to dedicate the ones that I sold for VIP to VIP, and that allows me to have more RV sites at the venue, right?
And again, that's only possible or attainable through that consistent, constant communication and work with the venue and that presence and that being there and showing up and being a part of, the fabric of the area, which again, going back to the beginning of the conversation speaks to that focus on that hyper regionality, hyper locality and inclusivity of that Tampa St. Pete region.
Yeah, and then we have around the park in a few different spots. We have like after because the stages go down at like on Wednesday, Thursday, it's 11 p.m. that the main stages are down are turned off, and then on Friday, Saturday, it's midnight. But there's late night music going off all around this park, and we're talking about doing one of the areas we're actually thinking about adding in this year is if we're going to build this VIP RV section now, we're also going to give them entertainment. And so they'll have, their own bands that are coming over to play for them. And
Maybe a comedian.
they don't even know that yet, which is cool. It's just going to be a bonus perk of, doing it. So, yeah.
Phenomenal. Outstanding. I love that you're stacking perks along with it and to really actually transcend the experience into something more than just a ticket or an entry.
Yeah, I mean, people that are coming and they're like, one thing I loved is the people like last year, they had no idea what to expect, and people who bought this package last year have come back and bought it again, and that's really cool because they're obviously for starters, it says we're doing something right, but it also, it's like shows that they love this event. They're like, now we're coming back. It's the same deal with like with the RV sites. Even it's like this park is kind of has its own following. Um, and so like people know exactly where they want to be in the park, which is why like the day we put tickets on sale back in June, we just watched RV sites just selling like freaking crazy because everyone's like, I want this site and this site, and then I'm going to be next to my friends. We want five sites in a row right here. I mean, and it's super cool when you think about it. Like, let's say you get, you're going to go camp, you're going to go to a music festival that lasts multiple days and you're going to go with a whole group of your friends and you guys have like 4 or 5 RV sites in a row together. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, that's unreal. So Whippersnap is coming up February 18th to 21st, 2026 at the Florida Sands Music Ranch in Brooksville, Florida. Now, Whippersnap has a few unique qualities to it. Now, you mentioned the RV camping, the VIP RV, but talk to us a little bit about the aesthetic of the festival and what makes Whippersnap a unique festival destination on top of the amenities.
I mean, well, it's the park itself is gorgeous. It's like that old Florida feel, and you got tons of huge, like 100-year-old oak trees and Spanish moss all over the place. It's really cool feel. But then like how we do it is, there's zero overlapping music at the festival. So if you're someone who like you really want to see everything, you can. I mean, we do. We have it in between each set all day. One set ends. There's a 10-minute gap. And there's only a couple-minute walk over the other stage anyway, but there's 10 minutes break. And then we do that all day long until we get the band that closes out the field stage. There's a 15-minute gap before the headliner kicks off. But other than that, again, it bounces back and forth. One stage finishes 10 minutes later and the band's kicking off. And so there's no overlapping music. There's no competing. It's like in an event of this size, you do not want bands to compete for crowd to play in front of, I mean, you want everyone to play in front of as many people as possible. The bands are happy. I mean, as like, for me, coming in year 2, right? I remember just watching the bands playing, 1 o'clock in the afternoon and seeing how many people are there watching them play. And I'm like, this is great. Like this is great. They're having a quality set. It's well attended, and then, obviously at a music festival, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of stuff going on all over the place. So, I mean, even really, like, even when the headliner's on, odds are you're just not going to have at any given moment, not going to have every person who's at that festival at a stage, So it's like to already, like, for me at a 2,500 person cap venue to think like, oh, let's overlap bands. That's just not an option for me. So, and as someone who's again played in these bands too, and knows what it's like to, you want to, when you're a musician, you want to play in front of people. It's part of getting out and doing it.
Well, I think it's a great position to take also as someone who's constructing the festival itself to make that executive decision. Because as a fan of music, right, one of the things that I detest the most about larger music festivals that aren't set up properly, and no need to name names, but the bleed, when you have multiple bands playing at multiple stages and let's say one's electric and one's acoustic and the sound isn't set up properly, then you just have music on top of music and you just have annoyed attendees. Whereas if you are alternating stages, like you say, not only does each band get a full audience, but each audience gets the full band, which I
yeah, and
think
the
is a
stages face
huge
completely different
add.
directions. There's no bleed whatsoever. There's no issue with that. I mean, bands can be sound checking, doing their things. There's no problems with any of that. It's great. And then yeah, again, as far as it goes, it's a really cool setup. I mean, and obviously we take production very seriously. We do have Herm Lights coming back to do things again this year. Same laser people, same laser projection mapping people. A lot of the same. It's again, it's building. You're building a rapport with the people. You're building a rapport with these teams, and we have quality sound, quality lighting. I mean, the lighting and the level of production we bring on that realm. You pretty much don't go to events of this size and see anything that touches what we do. I mean, stages are just loaded with moving heads and lasers. Trees are lit up all over the place. There's LED projection mapping on the tree lines with morphing faces, and you walk up into the woods and there's electric forest camping area. I mean, it's fun. We definitely put a lot into it. And then obviously the music I mean, it's a huge part of coming to this thing, and it's we spend a lot of time like not only just booking, but then thinking about like a flow to the actual event for each day. And I have a lot of fun putting together the schedule, like, all right, what band, who's going to go here, who's going to come next, who's following this up, and just the idea is that it's just going to continue to build and build and build and build and build, and at the end of the day it just explodes, and then hit the reset button for tomorrow.
I mean, it really is in an oversaturated market, right? It's something to me that really does stand out, not just in the caliber of the artists that you have, of the headliners, of the venue, of the locale, but just like really all the thoughtfulness and intent put into every aspect of the festival, which is to me what makes it incredibly appealing as just as just an attendee, as a music lover, as a festival lover, as a concert lover. Just everything about it, all of the different components make it sound like something that's greater than the sum of all of its parts, and I really genuinely can't wait to experience it for myself.
Right on. And then, and one thing I know we just really haven't mentioned, and I want to at least take a second, is that, yeah, it's an adult event for sure. But this event is, if you have kids and you're like, oh, I gotta have to bring my kids, we're a kid friendly event. I mean, we have all sorts of activities for the kids to do. There's a playground at the park. We do scavenger hunts. We do drum workshops for them. We do like tie dye workshops. We did frisbee golf. I mean, we set it up so the kids have a good time. The parents come out, bring your kids. If you have kids and you want to bring them to the festival, know that there will be other kids there. Know that there's going to be entertainment for them. Know that you're not just going to be sitting there having your kid looking like they hate you because you dragged them to this thing that they are having no fun at. Yeah.
And if anyone's on the fence about going to Whippersnap, what's your selling? If you had to boil it down to one selling point, what is it? What's that one thing that's going to convince those people
Honestly,
who are
it's
sitting
one of
on the
those
fence?
things, like, I mean, I can say this, but you'd have to talk to the people who've been there. One thing I love hearing more than anything from the people who come is like, they're like, just the vibe of this festival. And it's everyone is there having a damn good time. And it is just, I mean, it's infectious. We have such a good crowd. I mean, that would probably be, for me, that's it. It's like the crowd, the whole overall vibe of the weekend, like everyone is just out there loving life and having a great time. We it's not a young festival. It's not like we're not like an EDM festival or anything. We're like a funk festival. We do have some bluegrass stuff. We do have some like prog bands. I mean, but we're definitely like the EDM stuff is not really my bag, and so we're just we're kind of shy away from that. It's like, I'm not saying like people can't have fun, and I feel like it brings a younger crowd, and it brings a crowd that is going to be more of like maybe a handful to deal with. And so I mean, I don't know, we just have a pretty chill crowd, and everyone again just kind of minds their own business, does their own thing, but the whole weekend it pops off, and there's something to do for everyone everywhere you look at all times of day and night.
Well, it just sounds to me like a phenomenal experience, and like I said, I can't wait to experience it for myself. Any final words you want to leave the audience with, Shane?
Get your tickets, man. Let's do this.
Get your tickets, find the links and everything and all the info about the festival in the description of this episode. See you in February. And folks, this is Steiner with another episode of Secondhand Talent. Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Whippersnap Music and Arts Festival. And we will see you next week for our 99th episode, our season finale with the one, the only Justin Hampton. Till then, this is Steiner, and this is a podcast. All right.
Hold it.
That's an episode. There we go.
Sweet.
Yeah, we did
no,
it.
it's great.